with Attorney Season.
Yes.
Well done, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
But how was it? How do you feel about it? I really need to get this out of the way because medyo surreal yung mga pangyayari. Everybody, of course, you made the announcement that the Vice President was not going to be present.
Yes.
But I understand that there were still some expectations that she would arrive. And then...
Or counsel would be there. Actually, there were a lot of media friends of ours messaging me na kung pupunta yung legal team. But as you know, in the earlier statements or pronouncement at least of the Committee on Justice, ang sabi kasi is the presence of counsel is only to assist the client. So kung wala yung client, we didn't think that we had any right to participate anyway. So hindi talaga kami pumunta. No? But just to put things in context, we had a letter. We wrote a letter to the Committee on Justice, addressed, of course, to the Honorable Chairperson. We submitted the letter the day before the hearing kasi nga ayaw naman namin na the day itself. No? So we submitted it after, was after discussing the matter, of course, with our client, the Vice President. And we decided to submit that letter. And in that letter, we indicated the reasons why. Primarily, kasi hindi gusto natin i-simplify yung concept. Primarily, we stated our fundamental objection to the conduct of the proceedings. No? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Nilagay namin doon na sa aming pananaw, again, with all due respect, of course, to the committee, pero sa aming pananaw, walang jurisdiction ang committee to conduct a trial, whether a mini trial or a full-blown trial. No? Because under the Constitution, very clear naman, under Article 11, na yung power to initiate impeachment proceedings belongs to the House. That's admitted. But the power to try impeachment cases is exclusively vested upon the Senate. So sa amin, ang pananaw namin is itong nangyayari ngayon na yung term na mini trial, di naman sa amin galing yan. No? But itong nangyayari na sa tingin din namin ay nagiging mini trial na rin talaga. Ito ang sanhi kung bakit meron kaming objection at kung bakit the Vice President did not attend proceedings yesterday.
What, for the sake of our audience, what are the earmarks or why would you consider it as they were conducting a trial?
Well, for us, if we were to determine probable cause or at least determine kung ito ay pagbobotohan na, gagawa na ng committee report at iakyat na sa plenary, they are confined only to the evaluation of the complaints and their attachments. Yan yung mga napag-usapan na rin natin the last time, no? That you are confined to the four corners of the complaints, the allegations therein and the attachments, and from there, you should be able to determine if there's probable cause for impeachment. Ang nangyayari kasi ngayon, they're going beyond doon sa allegations, evidence attached. They're now issuing subpoenas left and right for certain documents. And so we feel na trial na to, and then you will be inviting witnesses wherein the members of the Committee on Justice will have the right to examine and cross-examine, whereas the respondent would not have that. No? So sa amin, this goes beyond determination of probable cause. This is, as they say, a mini trial, which we feel belongs to the Senate pagdating ng trial.
But doesn't the House of Representatives in its impeachment rules actually provide for the power to issue subpoena and to call witnesses as part of the process of making a report that they will submit to the plenary within 60 days? So, and in past impeachments, nagkakaroon naman talaga ng witnesses na tinatawag, and yes, the members of the Committee on Justice do ask questions of these witnesses. Kasi I think ang explanation nila dyan is similar to a preliminary investigation, di ba, in criminal proceedings. There is actually a hearing, and there is actually the opportunity for, in that particular case, yung investigating prosecutor to ask clarificatory questions. So isn't that similar to what the House is trying to do here?
We admit that under the rules, there is a provision there that provides them the power for to issue compulsory processes. But as you said, Attorney Barry, pagdating sa preliminary investigation, the nature is clarificatory. No? So kung walang naka-attach na ebidensya doon sa complaint, what now gives the in a preliminary investigation, the prosecutor, to now search for other pieces of evidence that aren't included there because it's up to the complainants to build their case, hindi ba?
In the 2024 rules of the DOJ, di ba, merong case build-up.
Yes,
But that's actually integrated in the rules. So, in essence, doesn't that allow yung prosecutor to ask for additional evidence in order to meet yung standard of...
Actually, in the 2024 rules, no, may tatlo lang pwedeng gawin yung prosecutor, if I'm not mistaken. It's to determine kung pwede nang i-dismiss na lang yung kaso.
Yes.
Two, titignan kung ripe na to submit the matter for resolution. Or third, to ask the complainants, no, kung clarificatory questions and maybe documents. But hindi sila mismo yung nagpapasabina, hindi ba? And in this case, kung makikita mo yung mga sinasabina, wala nga sa allegations na ng complaint paminsan. So sa atin, tinitingnan natin na this goes beyond. At least that's our position. No? This goes beyond the power to initiate impeachment complaints. This already is encroaching upon trial or mini-trial. And that is exclusively with the Senate. Yan ang aming position.
So, ang sinasabi nyo, your position is essentially the House should confine itself to looking at what evidence is already attached to the complaints.
Oo, but of course, clarificatory, wala namang problema. Kung meron silang witnesses na nandun, let's say may affidavit, gusto nilang patawag, gusto nilang mag-clarify, nagagawa naman yan kahit sa preliminary investigation, hindi ba? Pero kung wala namang mga affidavits ng witnesses, for example, ang tanong natin dito is how far will this go? Diba? Sino pa ang papatawag na hindi naman kasama doon sa mga affidavits na na-attach doon sa complaint? And kung mangyayari yun, para na tayong nag-trial without the right of the defense to cross-examine the witnesses.
So, given yung basically difference in perspective between the defense team and the Committee on Justice, do you plan to actually challenge the proceedings before the Supreme Court? Kasi that seems the only logical next step here. If you're not going to participate and you think that they are acting ultra vires, diba? They're going beyond what the Constitution actually empowers them to do, then that seems like the logical next step. Is that should we be expecting
That's definitely a possibility. Ayoko pang magsabi ng anything categorical at this point, but that's definitely a possibility because as you said, that is the logical next step. There are several remedies. We are actually considering all remedies possible pa. Kaya nga, sinimulan muna natin sa committee. No? Hindi tayo yung biglang umakyat. Inilahad muna natin sa committee yung ating posisyon. And based on the discussions yesterday, I think may mga hindi nagustuhan yung aming letter and we really regret that. No? We really regret that. That was not the intention. The intention, because as lawyers of the Vice President, was to protect her rights, no? And her interests. So, syempre, it was incumbent upon us when we see some infirmity, it was incumbent upon us to at least put the committee on notice na ito yung posisyon namin.
What was in the letter that they disagreed with? Or
that actually provoked such a strong response?
I know, and I really regret that it did so. No? That was not the intention. The intention was really just to lay down our position, which, as I've said, really centered on the lack of jurisdiction of the Committee on Justice to conduct a trial, whether mini or full-blown. Yun lang talaga. We in-enumerate namin yung mga provisions sa ating saligang batas, kung ano ang initiation at kung nasaan ang power to try impeachment cases, and that is with the Senate.
And at some point, Chairman Luistro manifested herself that what she called a mini trial is actually simply a process for clarification. So she underscored that, but the committee voted anyway for the compulsory processes. And yun nga, it still drew Congressman Rodriguez's strong reaction to the letter. So, but if it was simply an explanation of your side, was there anything in particular, like the wording that
why did they take such offense? Kasi
perhaps it was really I don't want to speculate on exactly what triggered that. And again, we really regret that that's how they felt. That really was not the intention. I have time and time again said that we respect the opinions of our lawmakers and the members of the committee, even if the opinions are adverse to our position. But I think Perhaps it's when we stated that they had no jurisdiction to do this. Siguro medyo may pagka-confrontational yung dating. But again, that wasn't the intention. The intention was really to lay down what we feel is stated in the Constitution. At sa amin, that was a fundamental objection kasi. No, na for us, we cannot proceed this way. Kung sa tingin nyo, number one, meron nang nagkaroon na ng sufficiency in form, sufficiency in substance, sufficiency in grounds. So sa amin, ang posisyon talaga namin is, while you have leeway for clarificatory questions and holding a hearing for such, bakit hindi na lang from there, mag-determine na kung may probable cause.
So to be clear, the jurisdiction is not the power of the House to conduct impeachment proceedings in the first place.
No,
It's you should not be calling additional witnesses and asking for additional evidence beyond what is already provided for in the committee. Dapat confine yourself to clarificatory questions. Yun yung position.
Yes, because again, it's the burden of the complainants to prove or to show at least that they have a strong case, no, na may probable cause. But again, thank you for helping me with that, Attorney Barry. No, we are not questioning the power of the House to initiate impeachment proceedings. I think medyo ano na tayo, nagkakalabuan na tayo kung pati yan kinokontest.
Hindi kasi
that's not true.
Yung feeling ko may confused kasing tao dahil jurisdiction yung ginagamit. Diba?
So when we say jurisdiction, it's not the jurisdiction of the House to initiate. It's a jurisdiction of the House to try cases because we feel that that's what's happening now. Parang you're trying cases na sa pananaw namin. And to us, that exclusively belongs to the Senate namin. And to us, that exclusively belongs to the Senate.
Kumaga, they're jumping the gun. What should be something that the Senate should be doing, ginagawa na nila dito sa level of the committee.
Yes, and it might be duplicitous in a way because magkakatrial din naman tayo sa Senate kung talagang aakyat to. Plus, in this case, paano ang respondent dito, diba? Although, yesterday, I must admit, si Congressman Chel Jokno, whom I also have the utmost respect for, I think proposed amendments to the rule na pwede nang magtanong ang council through the chair. No?
So, magkasabit ng...
Oo. I just don't know how it will be operationalized if that really happens because na-approve kasi yung amendment na yun as far as I know. No? Pero paano yun? Kasi alam nyo naman sa cross-examination, it's really the council that does that. No? And you have to be fast on your feet. Diba?
Exactly.
You have to think on your feet.
Hindi, tsaka, depending on yung answer, your next question might change.
Yes,
diba?
yes. So how do we now do that? Diba? So again, I think yung mga ganitong bagay, it's best done sa isang trial, diba?
Yes,
Which well, constitutionally belongs to the Senate. Okay.
But don't you think that, yun nga it's hard to police the portion where they're asking clarificatory questions? At what point does it become like a direct
Inquisitorial.
and then, yes. But right now, that's how it's set up. It's an inquisitorial format because prosecutor's office is also inquisitorial in nature.
Yes, and if I think I brought this up the last time I was here. I looked back, no, it was the same issue that the lawyers of the Honorable former Chief Justice Sereno faced during the committee stage. Yes. I remember I saw an interview of, I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name, but Attorney Alex Poblador, also having the same concerns that when they were there, they could not really participate kasi I think they were given an SPA, but they could not really participate. So, parang I find ourselves in the same quandary, no? Paano to? Kasi pag nagrepresent ng witness, they will expectedly say things against the Vice President. How do we now defend the rights of our client pagdating dito? And that's the purpose of trial, actually, so that things can be said and we have the opportunity to rebut. But now, how do we do that? Diba?
Gusto ko lang malaman niya na na-appreciate ko lahat ng ginawa niya.
Kahit malayo siya noon, na-feel ko pa rin yung alaga niya sa mga balikbayan boxes na pinapadala niya.
May padala si Mama na mga maliliit na Colgate.
Pinoprotektahan ko siya kahit malayo ako.
Ngayon, magkasama na kami at yun ang importante.
I tried a ton of AI work tools. Then I tried Monday.com. game over. Monday.com is super easy to use and knows how to do AI right. I use it for insights and action suggestions constantly, especially on those back-to-back meeting days. And my team used Monday Sidekick to work up all kinds of marketing content for the different platforms. So stuff that takes my team hours is now done before they even open their laptop. All these AI features are built directly into Monday.com and actually use our real data. With Monday.com, AI isn't some over-promising future. It's here. It just works. Like, actually saves us time and resources kinda works.
Monday Sidekick, AI you'll love to use. Start a free trial today at Monday.com.
Now that you've also been dragged into this in a personal capacity, the issues of Pina specifically
Yes,
against you yesterday, napag-usapan din natin to last time.
Yes.
How do you plan to respond? Of course, you're going to
I will attend.
comply.
I will attend. I think as a lawyer, I think alam naman natin na kung hanggat nandiyan ang proseso at hindi naman na-avoid yung proseso na yan, meaning hindi nasasabing void o hindi pinapahinto yung proseso, I will have to attend. No? And I want to show rin my respect to the committee by attending and the institution by attending. And then we'll see. But to be honest, and perhaps I could say this, I already attended the Committee on Good Government in
2024,
last year.
In fact, at that time, I attended every hearing.
Yes,
Hindi na umabot sa PINA, invites lang. And I answered all questions to the best of my knowledge, at least to my personal knowledge. Wala naman akong kailangang itago eh. Kasi kung ano na yung nasabi ko noon, yun naman talaga yung extent ng participation ko in terms of the issue at hand, which is, I think, the confidential funds. No? Hanggang doon lang naman ako sa yung participation ko which was responding to the COA, AOM, which is part of my job at that time. So I don't see any reason why I should not attend. I would like to give due respect to our lawmakers also.
So, but this is also in relation to the attempt to, how do you call this, to remove you as counsel.
Yung kay
Diba?
Congressman
May,
Ridwan.
That was not raised
yes,
yesterday.
yesterday.
But again,
it's still a pending issue, is it not?
probably. I don't want to speculate on that also, but it was not raised yesterday.
Yes,
That's the fact.
and nor resolved yesterday.
Nor resolved. But again, I think it is well within the rights of Congressman Ridon to raise whatever concerns he may have. No? But sa akin, it's number one, ang right to counsel is fundamental, and that belongs to the client. And right not just to counsel, but a counsel of his or her own choosing. No? And then, I think the concern was any conflict. Wala naman sa ating Code of Professional Responsibility, Accountability yung conflict na yan. In fact, I had to check it myself again kung talagang meron. I mean, to be honest, I had to check it myself. Diba? And thirdly, if the concern is invoking attorney-client privilege, for example, ako naman, nung nag-attend ako ng committee hearings, I was already a lawyer of the Vice President at that time, but I never found the need to invoke it kasi it was just based on my personal knowledge. Sagutin natin yan.
Okay.
Well, first and foremost, syempre hindi pa natin nakikita yung subpoena. So I think as a matter of prudence, kailangan tingnan muna natin yung nilalaman talaga ng lalabas na subpoena. Pangalawa, obviously, very clear naman sa Supreme Court no, na ang impeachable offense related lang dun sa mga acts ng impeachable officer during her tenure sa office. I don't even want to say term, just tenure in office. And lastly, even if ganun yung mga nakikita ko, no, please, we have to recall that our objection here is fundamental. It is on the proceedings itself. So that includes all ancillary processes as a result of those proceedings. So,
Including yung mga subpoenas.
including yung mga subpoenas, yung ganyan. No? But I just needed to directly answer the question subpoena. But generally, our case theory here is walang jurisdiction on the mini trial itself.
Yes.
And therefore, anything ancillary that is issued because of that is also unconstitutional in our point of view.
What about on the point that considering that one of the allegations in the complaints is, I think, unexplained wealth? Di ba?
Yes.
Parang ganon.
Yes.
And therefore, they need to compare yung current SAL-ends with previous SAL-ends to see if there is an increase or at least a suspicious increase. I suppose yun ang sasabihin nila dyan. Would that not put this within yung scope of the inquiry?
But yun nga yung point namin naka-attach ba yung SAL-ends niya when they made the allegation?
Yeah.
Kasi, so kung ganon, kaya namin nasasabi kaya nasabi ng Vice Presidente natin na fishing expedition yung nangyayari because wala kang in-attach So ano yung naging basihan mo nung ginawa mo yung allegation? Hindi ba? Yun lang yung isang tanong rin na parating nasa isipan ng defense, no? So that's why when we said walang ultimate facts, remember? We said walang ultimate
Yes, dun
facts.
sa answer.
Now you're saying there's we're talking about, I think they've also mentioned of bank records, etc., di ba? AMLAC, etc. Pero nasaan yon? Nasaan yon? You know, they reference, I think, a list that was given by former Senator Trillanes in one of their So at least that one masasabi ko meron silang sinite na list. But itong sa mga SAL-ends, nasaan yon? And plus, yung ill-gotten wealth, if you're talking about 20 years back, tapos lumaki yung SAL-end, hindi ba natural consequence lang naman yan na sana naman while you're in service, dumandami naman yung assets
Well, I suppose
mo.
depende.
Unless,
Gaano
kagano kalaki, no? But again, yung to make, that's why we said the other time I was here na to say that tumaas yung SAL-end, nagkaroon ng ill-gotten wealth, that's a sweeping conclusion for us. No?
So again, it goes back to this shouldn't be happening at this level. Dapat na-attach na yan to the complaint.
Yes, and assuming that there are no infirmities in the process and we are before the Senate impeachment court, wala namang problema kung impeachment court ang nagsasabina, di ba? Because that pwede ka mag-move, no? As one of the parties for the issuance of subpoenas. But hindi pa sa ganitong point. Dapat doon na tayo sa Senado so that we can also rebut all those things. Now kasi, na-issue yung subpoena, lumabas yung mga documents, they can make, anyone can make any conclusion as to the documents and paano yung respondent? Nasaan yung due process naman niya to rebut? Will it be sa Senate na when sirang-sira na siya at the House level, I mean at this time? So yun yung mga bagay that we're really concerned about and that's why we already had to lay down our position na labas na to sa initiation of impeachment proceedings.
What about, how long does it usually take? Kung nasa prosecutor's office tayo, where finding of probable cause, usually the complaint, then there's the counter affidavit, no?
And then may
pwedeng reply,
rejoinder.
rejoinder. But normally, it would take, they have a maximum, di ba, of how many hearings
If I'm not mistaken, I think 60 days yung ano nila.
The entire process.
The entire
yun,
process, 60 days, no? Clarificatory hearings, to be honest, sa akin, I've experienced only once. Usually, one clarificatory
Patawag,
hearing,
Yeah.
diba?
If any. Kasi,
Ako naka-experience
may
na ako na
hearing,
nagpatawag ng witnesses yung prosecutor. But yeah, to be perfectly honest, that was rare. Parang, more often than not, i-resolve na lang on
At saka they
the
look at the
pleadings.
affidavit.
But Attorney Barry, I suppose yung witnesses na tinawag, kasi naka-attach
Yes,
din yung
yung mga
affidavit.
named in the complaint.
Oo,
Yeah.
yun ang
Clarificatory
point namin. No?
yun,
So, kasi yun nga it is the burden of the complainant to have everything there complete to show that they have a strong case, hindi ba? And ang part ng, but again, I don't want to always be locked into preliminary investigation because we also have to admit that this is sui generis. It's an impeachment proceeding. But again, we have our position and that's why now we're really exploring all remedies available to be able to protect the rights of the Vice President.
Walang cooling crystals?
As a defense team, you want this over as quickly as possible. Do you still foresee an opportunity to terminate this at this stage?
That will depend on the Committee on Justice na sa totoo lang. The possibility of terminating it is maybe, nasabi mo nga, going up to the Supreme Court, but again, that's just a possibility. I don't want to say that that's our move, no? But sa atin naman kasi, kung may dapat sagutin, gusto naman ng Vice Presidente sumagot basta sa tamang forum. And that was indicated in our letter. We said, nonetheless, the Vice President is ready to face all these allegations in the proper jurisdiction.
And that's the Senate.
That's the Senate. So, sa atin, wala naman din kaming objection kung umakit na to kaagad ng Senate kasi marami na rin naman tayong naririnig na meron ng mga numbers. No? Di ba may mga statements na meron ng mga numbers. So, kung meron na palang mga numbers, bakit hindi na lang natin pagbotohan na to kung may numbers na iakyat? Because we've been ready for trial. We're as I told you previously, we were always expecting trial. You know, and regardless what happens, if we go to trial, we will be ready to face these allegations head on and debunk all of these allegations of corruption against the Vice President.
One of the explanations that the House members have been giving with respect to the current process that they're following is they're complying with the standards laid down in the Supreme Court decision, di ba? In Duterte versus House of Representatives. Kasi isa dun sa mga yon, has to be clear that each member of Congress who voted had basis for their decision. So that's their justification for going through this extended process. Are you doubting yung explanation na yon on their part? Kasi parang it seems that you're saying na they've already made up their minds and the intention is just to bring out itong mga anong ito.
I don't want to be misquoted with that, no? Because hindi ko naman nila lahat. Wag naman nating lahat. It's unfair to our lawmakers na lalahatin natin. What we're saying lang is yung due process, again, it's not just providing lawyers, it's not just providing the opportunity to file pleadings. It's also due process, meaning are you acting within the powers that are given to you by the Constitution, no? Pagdating naman doon sa Supreme Court decision, of course, I may be wrong, but my interpretation is, ang talaga namang na nag-iba doon is yung fast track mode. Hindi naman masyadong na-discuss yung first mode, which is yung pag na-refer sa Committee on Justice. So this is nothing new. In fact, yung rules na sinusunod ngayon sa impeachment
19th
proceedings,
Congress.
19 Congress pa So I don't think that was affected by the Supreme Court decision at all. Ngayon, ang sinasabi naman namin, naintindihan din naman namin na they gave us the opportunity to file our answer and of course, that's part of due process. But kasama rin doon yung you are not acting beyond what is within your jurisdiction only, which is to initiate impeachment complaints. So I cannot emphasize enough that our position here is any form of trial which we feel is what's going on now, no? Trial na sa amin yung nangyayari. And of course, they will have a differing opinion and I will respect that also. But this is our position, na trial na yung nangyayari. At kung trial na yung nangyayari, dapat sa Senado na yan. Where we can also object, we can also cross-examine and test the credibility, not just of the witnesses, but the evidence to be presented.
Even if at least in concept, the prolonged procedure might actually benefit si VP Sara in the sense that, ganito kasi, di ba? Parang we're assuming na yung lalabas will be damaging to her. But we can also view it from the perspective na kung ano man yung lalabas might actually convince some members of the House who are actually on the fence or who might be initially inclined to vote for the impeachment to change their minds. Kung lalabas na mahina yung ebidensya. That would have been
a consideration if the defense team, meaning the Vice President and her counsels, had the opportunity to really cross-examine all these people. But again, even the fact of cross-examination, dapat kasi sa trial na yan. And I acknowledge that, no? And that is why, kung ganun ang mangyayari, kung committee members lang ang pwede mag-examine at cross-examine, sa tingin namin, paano naman namin masasabi that it won't be damaging? Because everything that will be presented, we cannot even test the credibility of all these witnesses. Like for example, Mr. Madriaga, who has also been issued a subpoena. How do we now test the credibility of Mr. Madriaga? And I think the best forum for that is really trial na. So if the committee has already determined sufficiency in form, substance, and ground, I think all that's left to do is really to to go ahead with the committee report. If they feel that there's probable cause,
Submit sa plenary.
submit sa plenary. There are statements that there are numbers. If that is true, of course, we don't want to preempt that.
Yes.
But if that is true, then let's bring it to the Senate, and so the people can also see the defense of the Vice President.
There was a verbal tussle between Congressman Rufus Rodriguez and Congressman Terry Ridon, both lawyers. Congressman Ridon was actually asking for a subpoena for the records of the law office of Attorney Scarpio, the spouse of the Vice President. Do you think that this is one of those areas where the committee may exceed its jurisdiction?
Well, those are one of the instances wherein it makes us think hanggang saan to pupunta. Diba? If we're already issuing subpoenas against third parties, hanggang saan to pupunta? Of course, I don't want to speak for Attorney Carpio. I'm sure he has his own thoughts on this matter. Perhaps with Congressman Ridon, he's also thinking kasi yung SALN joint kasi yan eh, di ba? Yung SALN. So again, in fairness, I don't want to say may mali dyan. It's not appropriate for me to say so. But ang position lang ng legal team is kung ganun nga, hanggang saan to pupunta, di ba? And that's why sa amin, that's also not part of the complaint, hindi ba? Na may problema yung law office ni Attorney Carpio. Walang allegation na ganon. So, why are we venturing into that? Now, if they are able to lay down the premise and the foundation, which you do in trial, diba? To seek for a subpoena, maybe that's the appropriate time. But sa ngayon, hindi pa. That's why ang hirap mag-comment doon sa mismong specific subpoenas to be issued.
Yes.
Kasi ang talagang posisyon namin is the process itself. So anything ancillary to that, we are objecting to.
Okay. So, at this stage, you're really already prepared for a Senate trial.
Yes, we've been prepared since last year, actually. Talagang we have been preparing talaga na maging full-blown trial na to. Because I think, kung talagang papasa ito, of course, as lawyers, mas gusto mo kung ma-dismiss na lang yung kaso. I mean, let's admit that, no? Kung ma-dismiss ngayon, mas maganda. But if this goes to trial, I think it's also the proper venue where we can really defend the rights of the Vice President and show not just the senator judges, but also the people, the Filipino people in general, na baseless yung mga allegations.
So you think na wala nang chance that the House vote will not reach the required one-third threshold at this stage?
I don't want to speculate. I don't
Okay.
want to speculate. Of course, there are those saying wala pang numero, diba? And then there's those saying na may numero. I don't
Very
want to
confusing
speculate.
right
I don't
now,
want to speculate. Oo.
Kasi pa-iba rin yung mga statements from kung
Every
sino-sino.
day.
Oo nga eh.
Oo. So,
If you hang on to that,
sa atin,
mapapaliw ka.
we're just ready for anything. We'll be happy kung ma-dismiss na to, but if not, we're ready.
Okay.
Bakit siya manginasal?
Okay, this is the portion of our program where we ask
Even harder question.
Tougher question.
for question provision. Okay, let's begin. Do you foresee that the Vice President would attend any of the other subsequent hearings, if any, of the Committee on Justice?
Ayokong magsalita ng tapos because we have to see the developments. But as of the moment, again, our objection is fundamental. It is on the process itself.
Okay. Your comment on the observation that VP Sara might actually be able to sway lawmakers if she attended the hearing, given her strong showing as the frontrunner for 2028.
Highly speculative. We don't even know if she will be allowed to respond. And then it will be highly confrontational, which again will be a trial in itself. And so that's why our position is a Senate na lang.
Okay.
Your thoughts on, how did VP Sara react to you being subpoenaed?
Well, the Vice President, I think, feels naman that I can handle things my own way. So she is aware that I was subpoenaed. We spoke yesterday about it. Siyempre, sabi naman niya, nasa yan, kung anong gusto mong gawin. And ang sinabi ko naman sa kanya, I would like to attend. And if I attend, I will just answer truthfully. I'm not there to perjure myself or fabricate things.
But if you do answer the subpoena, you will be there as witness, and not as counsel.
Not as counsel, oo. And if they will ask, if the questions naman, at least in fairness to Congressman Tino, who moved for the issuance of subpoena, I think they were under the impression that as Undersecretary and Chief of Staff, I had so much participation to confidential funds. So I'm there to just stick to what I said a year and a half back, no, dun sa committee, because yun naman talagang totoo eh. And as a lawyer, sabi ko nga, at that time, imbis na magsinungaling, pwede naman ako mag-invoke ng attorney-client. Pero hindi ko pinili because I thought the questions were fair, it was just factual, and I will just respond factually.
Ito, I think you've already answered this repeatedly, but just to be clear, would you prefer the House to conduct the impeachment mini-trials or just to proceed to the plenary vote to transmit the impeachment articles to the Senate?
We would definitely oppose the conduct of any sort of mini-trial. For us, that is unconstitutional, and that goes beyond the jurisdiction. And in that case, if I were to choose, I would rather it go to the Senate.
Okay.